Welcome to Quit Bleeping Around, a podcast dedicated to helping you achieve more in life. Here's your host, Christina Eanes.
Hey, superachievers. For this episode, I am interviewing Deb Erickson. Deb is a neuro trainer, mindset expert, network marketing and direct sales trainer, speaker, and CEO of the ICAN Institute. Welcome, Deb. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I love the title of your show. I just feel like, sometimes I want to say to people, come on, let's live our best life. So excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, you know what? Actually, that started out because long before I started my business, it was about 10 years ago, my coach had said, quit something around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's it. Of course, I used different terminology. But anyway. So before we get onto the topic, which I'm excited about, can you share a little bit about your background with our listeners?
Sure. So I graduated from Illinois State University with a teaching degree, got out in the world, started teaching and coaching, and realized early that I was like, ooh, I'm not going to achieve my big vision in the world, on that kind of a salary. I got to do more. And I tiptoed into entrepreneurship. I tiptoed into network marketing. I was a speaker, a motivational trainer, working with, Fortune 500 companies around the world. And I was having a whole lot of fun, but it was like something's missing. And that's when I got really excited about neuroscience, because what I realized was I didn't really want to be a therapist. I mean, I went back to school and I actually worked on, my psychology degree, master's, but it was like, I don't want to be a therapist. I want to give people real tools right now, actionable in this moment, go use them today. Because what I felt like is that's what was missing. I mean, I'd spent a decade in therapy myself for my childhood sexual abuse. I know the impact of child wounds. I get it. And it was like, I just knew there had to be more. And that kind of started the rest of my career and journey into delivering for people an understanding of what's happening in your brain, why you do the things you do, why you get stuck in the cycles you're in. So it's kind of like we reach back into our past and we touch the past and go, oh, so this is showing up this way now because of that, right? And then now what do I do? Mm-hmm. So this whole conversation is a blend between the subconscious programming, which are our habits and our patterns that just, those things we just keep showing up in the same way, and the conscious choices that we make every single day. How do we blend those two together to really take control of our lives and feel like we can choose a path, a goal, a vision, and execute on it, right? And actually live it and dream it. So that's kind of what all my business, and my work has been about for 20 plus years.
I love it. Now, before we get into some neuro tools, can you share a little bit about the sway, the influence that our subconscious programming has on our conscious?
Yeah. So your subconscious mind is responsible for about 95% of your day. 95% of your day.
Wow.
So, here's what I always say to people. That's 23.2 hours a day, 23.2, because it's all the time you're asleep plus, right? 95% of your waking hour. So that means consciously, your conscious mind is only actively engaged about 5% of the time. So if you say, I want that goal, I want that, your conscious mind can focus on it for 8 to 10 seconds. And then it's like, oh, something shiny over there. And that's not even ADD. That's just the conscious mind. Right? So easily distracted. We have a very short-term memory. Your conscious mind is where your desire, I want that. That's where that lives. Mm-hmm. Your creative thinking, your desire, your wanting, all of that energy, right, sits there. But in the subconscious mind, man, that's the workhorse. That's the autopilot. That's where your core beliefs are running the show. So the core beliefs that are running your life 95% of the time, those are the core beliefs that were set up in the first 7 years of life, reinforced in the first 14 years of life. So basically your 5-year-old is running the show. Right? So when you find yourself engaged in a pattern or a habit, you're getting triggered, you're behaving in a way, it's like, it's not really what I wanted. I said I wanted that, but I seem to be sabotaging. What's happening is your autopilot is running the show.
Yeah.
And so it's really critical to figure out how to blend these two and get them both on the same page so that your desires and your core belief about whether you can or can't achieve those goals kind of line up. When those two things line up, man, you are unstoppable. You're in flow. You're in the zone. So, when you see an athlete that's in the zone, they can't miss a shot. Everything they do is magic. In that moment, their belief about what is possible and their desire, they show up, they line up, and everything becomes easy and effortless. That's when you're in the zone, is because it's easy, it's effortless, right? There's no struggle, there's no trying hard. It's like, it's just almost magical. It feels like you would say the stars aligned. Well, it's not that. It's your subconscious and your conscious aligned.
I love it. You're actually aligning your brain. So how do we do that?
So it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's easier than you think, right? But it's really hard if you don't know what you're trying to do. Yeah. So the first thing is, let's just say we can usually do it around a goal. So identify your goal. This is my goal. This is what I want to achieve. And then the first thing we want to do is we really want to dig deep and see if there's doubt, resistance, uncertainty around your ability to achieve it. So I like to use a SUDS rating, subjective unit of distress. Medical people always use this. That's the scale 1 to 10. So if somebody says on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the biggest number, 1 being the smallest, how do you feel about this? Right? So if I set a goal, and then on a scale of 1 to 10, how certain are you that you will achieve that, right? What we're doing is we're kind of seeing, okay, where's the doubt? Where's the uncertainty, right? So if you say, 7, I'm really hopeful, but my core belief is about a 7. Okay, so you're not in alignment. You're in alignment when you're like a 10. So
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm an absolute 10, man. That is happening. No, nothing but that, you're aligned. Anything else kind of tells you there's something amiss. And then what we want to do is kind of dig and say, okay, then if you have a doubt, give words to that, give feelings to that. So we can kind of explore, what does that? Where does that originate? Where did that begin? Does that sound like a 5-year-old? When people say it's not fair, who's making that statement? Your 5-year-old is making that statement. Right. Okay. You could almost hear it like a little baby.
The little lip coming out. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we check for alignment. Let's say we don't have it. Then we figure out where that doubt and fear is coming from.
Right. So think about, well, here's the next thing. Here, I'll give you a little visual. So your brain lives in a box. Okay. Your brain lives in a box. So what I mean by that is there's a boundary, a belief boundary. And as long as you stay in the boundary, your brain goes, I could do that. So let's just say your goal is you want to lose weight. Yeah, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 3 weeks. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I believe that? I've never done that. Yeah. Right. So what if I said I'm going to lose 1 pound in the next 3 weeks?
10.
Yeah. So we shifted the goal around until it matched your belief. So that's one way you can do it. You can reduce desire and goal and vision, reduce it, because what we're doing is then we're bringing the belief back into the boundary that says, I can do that. I can do that. So what about 2 pounds in 3 weeks? What about 3 pounds in 3 weeks? What about 4 pounds? You can see at the exact moment when it's like, ooh, I'm not in alignment there. Mm-hmm. So a couple things we want to do is you want to be able to stretch that comfort zone, belief boundary, set point. It's actually a neuro set point, but everybody likes to call it a comfort zone. That's fine. Yeah. But the idea is then we have to push our confidence and belief out far enough. And what people normally do is they try to leap to the end.
Yeah.
Right? Massive goal, short time frame, brain doesn't really believe it. You launch the goal anyway. And within a matter of days or weeks, you're like, yeah, it's not going to work. And you give up.
Yeah.
Right? So we take a very short-term approach to achieving our goals. And when we do that, right, when we try to achieve something quickly in a short period of time, you almost always, you do two things. You set yourself up for failure. But even if you achieve it, right, the chance that you can sustain it is like 1%. 95% of people who try to lose weight don't achieve their original target goal. 95% fail.
Yeah.
And of the 5% that succeed, 80% of them can't maintain it for even a year. So we're talking about a 1% success rate. Wow. So the reason for that mostly is because we're physical beings, we like to use willpower and discipline and force, which are aspects of the conscious mind, 5%, right? And so if you can actively stay engaged with your willpower, 5% of the waking hours of your day, what that means is you got about 3 minutes per hour.
Wow.
3 minutes an hour. So what's happening the other 57 minutes? Your subconscious doubts and fears and limitations are running the show. So are we surprised that it's hard to achieve any goal? Because, weight loss is like in your face and really easy to measure. But if you look at people's responses to setting a goal and achieving it, like New Year's resolutions or goals, right?
Oh, yeah.
Less than 3% ever say, yeah, I hit it.
Yeah.
But maintaining it, and here's why that's so important, is because when you set a goal, right, and the brain works really hard and you physically, you dominate and you control everything and you make it happen, then the brain goes, phew, did it. It's kind of like, exactly. And you know what happens the minute you say done, right? The conscious mind silences, goes to sleep, it's like, whew, that's over. And guess who's in control again? The subconscious that has a belief boundary, right? A limitation that throws you right back to where you were. So here's the truth. These things were set up early in our life. And if you are not intentionally rewiring the brain, then you are stuck forever in that cycle. So if you're 25 now and you got cycles going on, here's the really bad news. You're going to show up at 50, 60, 70-year-olds and go, what happened in my life? Yeah. I just kept recycling that, whether it's a relationship, challenge, or it's a career issue. It doesn't really matter. Your subconscious mind's running the show. It's important. This is a absolutely critical conversation for people to understand.
Absolutely. So I can see how it's good to adjust to see where our threshold is, right? And then push that and rewire as we're going. What if it is an external factor or goal that we have to meet? That we have to is there a way to pump ourselves up to go after that? Like maybe I'm thinking at work, there's a certain threshold you have to meet in order to get paid or something like that.
So every external bar is still controlled by internal beliefs. So the only power you really have ever is internal, right? That's where my power to achieve anything, it's born, it's nurtured, it dies, it's here. So, there's always going to be environmental stuff and economic stuff and political stuff. The world is always going to be doing its thing. I don't care. I've lived long enough to know that it doesn't really matter what's happening today. I've seen it before and somebody else is going to see it again. So if you use the external as your excuse, right, then quite honestly, you're never going to achieve the biggest goals in your life. You have to begin to approach life by saying, doesn't matter what's happening out there. It matters what's happening in here. And I'm going to master that. I'm going to manage that. Do you know there were more millionaires created during the Great Depression than in any other time in our history. Why? Because those people decided that the external conditions of life, the depression, wasn't going to limit them. They were going to look for opportunities. There's always an opportunity, but you'll never find it if you've decided it isn't there. So if you have an external goal you're trying to achieve, a bar you're trying to hit, right? Ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I believe that I can and will achieve that goal? So I love using this is a finger roll neuro tool. So you take your thumb and your first finger and put it together and say, I can. You got to raise your I can to a 10. I can achieve this goal. I absolutely can. You're elevating that core energy. Then you put your second finger together with your thumb and say, I will do what's required. I will face this moment. I will face my fear. Then put your third finger and thumb together and say, I'm enough. I am enough. I'm perfect. I'm enough in every way. I can, I will, I am. Yes, I can, I will, I am. Yes, I can, I will, I am.
Hey,
yes.
I like that.
And so what we're doing in that little finger roll, we're anchoring into our body 3 core, beliefs that are critical to push ourselves outside that box, right? Take the challenge that is in front of us and achieve more, because at the end of the day, it's always mastering your own mindset that matters.
Yes. I love it. Well, and there's something, I want to get your take on it. I've heard about goals is you need to become the person who would achieve the goal in order to achieve the goal. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I agree. But you can become the person in your mind.
Yes.
So some people go, well, you got to have money to make money. Okay. Ask yourself, does that belief limit you?
Yes.
That's what's important. Doesn't matter whether the belief is true, because in our world, it's always true. Our beliefs are true, right? But the point is, does it limit you or does it liberate you? That is a limiting belief, that you have to have money to make money. So that's not going to support you in this moment, because then you're going to say, yeah, but I don't have money, so I can't have money. It's black and white thinking that will always limit you.
Making those excuses.
Let's just call it what it is. What's Absolutely.
Oh, now, before we get to your products and or services, is there anything else that we should know about? I know this is just a taste, but using neuro tools to align our subconscious and conscious.
Well, in my programs and systems, the thing I've created, I've got 80 neuro tools, kind of like what we just taught you.
Wow.
But here's the really important thing. The brain has neuroplasticity, which means it can be rewired. So, in neuroscience, we always say, neurons that fire together, they wire together. So if you don't like the current wiring, your habits, your patterns, your beliefs, how it feels, right? If you don't like it, then what we want to do is disconnect that wiring and then wire up new connections, new pathways, new networks. So the process of doing that, it's easier than you may think, and it's harder. Easier in that it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's neuroscience. It's not rocket science. but here's the thing. It takes repetition over time with emotion. That's how you create new neural pathways. Repetition, right, with emotion over time. So this is not something that you just going to fix in a 5-minute session. This is a 5-minute session 3 times a day for months on end. But so then people get discouraged. It's like, well, how long is it going to take? I'm like, well, if you're breathing, you need to be doing this, right? Because come on, it's like, how many showers are you going to take in your life? Every day. How many times you're going to eat? You don't eat once and go, that's good enough for me. You got to keep showing up, right? So the same here, but here's the really good news. You start feeling better immediately. You start feeling more powerful immediately. You start seeing results immediately.
Yeah.
So is it done? Nope. Nope, we're going to rewire every single day for the rest of our lives. You're going to use neuro tools. You're going to use affirmations. You're going to visualizations. You're going to meditate. You're going to do the do all the time, because it's kind of like if you're going to feed your body, you also are going to feed your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't get in this condition where you are in 5 minutes over a week, right?
Yeah.
You got here by repeating these patterns your entire life. And people say, well, why are those first 7 years so important? Because your brain is it's sitting in theta or alpha space, which means you have very slow brain wave frequencies. And in those states, you are a sponge. So if somebody said to you, what a loser, your brain accepted it. And if somebody said, you are unstoppable, look out world, your brain accepted it. Those became the marching orders for our life. So got to go back and rewire them if they're not healthy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, accept what you have.
I love it. Because it empowers us, right, to do that. Which brings us to, can you share a little bit more about your products and or services so people can dive deeper?
Yeah. You know, my business success tools, they really are designed kind of most specifically for network marketers. So if you're in direct selling or network marketing, they're perfect for you. They're kind of designed with the right language. What I'd really love to direct people to is the wellness tools, because you could get in, it's called ICANMindandBody.com, but you could get into that system, try it free for 14 days, test out how you like the neuro tools, test out how you like the neuro training, right? See how it works in your life. Because here's the really good news. Right? Once you feel better about who you are and the decisions you are making to take great care of yourself, right? The wellness, the weight loss, the mental wellness right now, all of those things, right? When you feel great about yourself, it leaks into every other aspect of your life.
Absolutely.
So the same processes work everywhere. Start with one thing and let it leak into everything. You elevate your confidence in one area, you have a chance to elevate in all areas.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I know that almost sounds like final advice, but what is your final piece of advice for our listeners?
I think the final piece of advice is simply this, that anything is changeable. Don't like what you have? Make a decision to find the support, the resources, the thought process of make a decision to change. And then once you decide to change, right, then you got to be committed lifelong. This is not a diet that's over in 3 weeks and you're done. This is retraining your brain for success, for wealth, for happiness, solid relationships, for anything and everything. You get to choose. If I don't like what I got, time to change.
I love it. Very important advice too. Oh, thank you so much for joining us today, Deb.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Christina.
If you'd like to learn more about Deb, visit her websites at ICANInstitute.com or ICANMindandBody.com.
Interested in expanding your employee development program? Visit ChristinaEanes.com to look at the many workshops Christina has available for you.